So you guys know Mike Huckabee, of course, former Arkansas governor, former 2008 Republican presidential candidate, former, as of this week, Fox News host. He actually just stepped down from his weekly Fox News show, which has people thinking that he's going to run in 2016. Well, an interesting thing came out. He sold his email list, which is something that all politicians do. I can't say all, pretty much all of them, on both sides of the aisle. Newt Gingrich is big on this. And Mike Huckabee sold his email list to a interesting group, and I'm going to read the email for you. It says, "Dear reader, I'd love to see an atheist try to explain this. It's a video about a recent discovery made by biblical researchers in Maryland. While investigating a certain New Testament passage, they found something they never expected, a mysterious healing message within ancient scripture. It appears to contain a secret for defeating one of the worst diseases, and the science behind it has been verified by one of America's top doctors." And then, of course, if you
Dr.
click...
Oz?
Even fancier doctors than Dr. Oz. And, of course, this is from Brian Chambers, who's the publisher of Health Revelations. So they're basically, he sold his email list to a group that's claiming that the Bible can cure cancer. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that there's probably no scientific evidence for that.
Who writes?
Are you guys with me?
Yeah, who writes stuff like that? I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
Like,
I actually looked it up, though, because
is that
I wanted to
important?
know.
Why don't you just tell me what it is?
It says, "Thou shalt not consume trans fats."
Is that
They actually had a great point. You just, hopefully you haven't been up until this point.
Yeah, did we show the two images of what the link actually takes you to? Did our creator encode a cancer cure?
Nope.
On the 859th page of an ancient Bible?
He did not.
No, he didn't.
Well,
no, he didn't.
To me, what's interesting
Wow,
about
look
this...
at that. That's great sort of art there for the 859th page of the ancient Bible. It's really,
Seriously, yeah.
really good.
I didn't realize the ancient Bible was in color.
Yeah, damn.
I did not know that. The thing that seems interesting to me, look, I think we can all agree that this is nonsense, but if Mike Huckabee is serious about running for president, which I suspect he is actually, sadly, doesn't this type of thing chip away at the legitimacy, or is it just going to the base and the base believes that the Bible will cure the cancer?
I don't think this is the kind of thing that's going to affect him. You know, should you escape the primary season? Should you get out of worrying about anything more than the base? Is this the kind of thing he's going to get questioned on for selling his list to? You know, I mean, he would just simply say, "We sell the list as a matter of course. We're trying to raise money to run for president. I don't know who buys the list. I can't control who buys the list, you know."
Right. I mean, you could.
You
control
probably
it.
could.
But right, he would
sell
say
it.
that.
Right,
He would
right.
say that,
Not
yeah.
at all if you wanted to.
Right. No, and I mean, you could just turn it around. You probably give a pretty good answer to that question. He's like, you know, I don't believe that, and I didn't say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they said it, and they said it with my list, but I don't know.
Is
I
him running or potentially running like the worst bellwether thing for 2016, the idea that there's a desire for that Christian comeback? Is that like the most not disgusting, is it the most disturbing part of what's going to be a pretty messy year in
I don't think
politics?
he's no different than Rick Santorum. He's no different than.
I'd say those are the two.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess Ted Cruz isn't far from the
But
middle.
and Michelle Bachmann. I mean, they're this, you know, and they're running
Yeah.
in 2012. I mean, there was a.
I'd say maybe not even as bad as Rick Santorum. At least in terms
Yeah.
of his messaging. He's a little bit more savvy in terms
He's
of how
much
he
more
communicates
savvy.
his-
He's much more likable
Yeah.
than Rick Santorum. He doesn't say crazy, hideous things. He plays blues music. He has Democratic friends.
Yeah.
You know, he's a likable guy.
He's pudgy.
He's pudgy, right? He's pudgy, but doesn't seem revolting. You know, so
Right.
you know he clears some hurdles where Rick Santorum makes you go, "Oh Jesus, I don't want that guy."
Yeah.
You know, telling us how to live.
Right, those
Whereas-
sweater vests with him, there's a creep factor.
Right, whereas Mike Huckabee delivers essentially the same message, but he's like, you know, I think we ought not have gay people get married to each other. Am I wrong? Is that America?
Do you know, and you guys, the TYT Live audience can Google this, I debated Mike Huckabee on Geraldo's radio show about the Chick-fil-A gay chicken incident.
Oh, is that
And
right?
We had a fairly healthy debate.
Right, and
healthier than the Chick-fil-A sandwich.
and I bet
That's pretty much how I ended it.
And I bet that you hang up the phone at the end of that interview, and if you're debating Rick Santorum, you're probably 74% angrier than when you hang up after debating Mike Huckabee.
You know what? You're 100% right, because he was pleasant enough that we had a pretty decent debate
Right.
about gay fried chicken, and it didn't get, you know, it didn't get to that place. So
Yeah, but I mean, that's the point that it does seem like if you're trying to get some moderates, I suppose, or maybe even a few Democrats to vote for you, that he'd have that advantage over someone like a Rick Santorum, especially someone like a Ted Cruz or Michelle Bachmann, who just come across as such despicable people. I think if you don't agree with every one of their positions.
And dumb.
And dumb as well, in a way that he does not come across as dumb.
So he's got a lot of the things that we forget about when we, especially here in this offices, in this studio, that I think that too much attention is paid to the politics and the positions, especially when it comes to running for president, but almost in any campaign. Like in Iowa, we love that Bruce Braley kind of ran as a conservative, but he ran a bumbling campaign that seemed dishonest and seemed inauthentic. And Joni Ernst, or Jody, I still don't know.
I think it's
Joni.
Joni seemed folksy and likable.
Yeah.
And George W. Bush
Grimes,
seemed likable.
not likable.
Right. And Alison Grimes, completely unlikable. Mitch McConnell, unlikable, but we already know him.
Yeah.
And that matters. Like,
Exactly.
he's unlikable that we're already used to.
I think that Huckabee has the problem of that I never get any feeling of strength coming off of him, and I know that conservatives these days,
Well, they like that,
they want a strong. He doesn't have that. But just really fast back to this cure. It bothered me when I first saw it. It continues to bother me because I expect that a product like this will do extremely well in America, which is scary to me. And actually, I think that it won't hurt him nearly as much. Like if Hillary Clinton sent this out, I think that she'd have a problem with some people wanting to unsubscribe. Him, I think that it'll be well received.
Yeah, just final thought on this. I think maybe the most disturbing part is actually if Mike Huckabee was to get cancer, my guess is he would go to a doctor. You know what I mean? He would go to an oncologist, someone that is trained to deal with cancer. And he's pushing this list to faith-based people, which it's fine to be a faith-based person, but he's pushing this list knowing full well that this isn't true.
That's the thing you could hit him on, is that people are going to believe this, Governor. People in the worst time, in the most desperate time of their lives, when they need serious help, are going to believe this. Kevin Trudeau, you guys remember Kevin Trudeau? He was the TV huckster, a pitchman.
Oh, yeah.
Right, and he was always selling these books about how the miracle cancer cure that the drug companies don't want you. He's in jail, 10 years in prison for peddling that stuff. He's a criminal, and you could make an argument. Who put this list out? What's the guy's name?
It is Brian Chambers from Health Revelations.
Yeah.
He's a criminal.
Might be a criminal. That you can't do this. You cannot make people believe stuff that's not true when it comes to their health. And it's certainly unethical.
Yeah. And by the way, in terms of policy grounds, the reason that I think people turn to crazy cures like this is partially the religious faith. It's partially also if they're too poor to afford the actual cure, can't afford health insurance possibly, and just bear in mind which party generally wants you to have health insurance and which doesn't really give a fuck about it.